In this video, I'm gonna cover what you need to know if you're planning a trip to India. Let's dive into the common mistakes that I've made after being in India for more than 4 years. We'll cover popular topics such as how can you avoid getting sick in India. 3 is Pani Puri, the classic, the original. Everyone loves some Pani Puri. Here we go. How can you avoid getting a terrible hotel room? How can you avoid forgetting to pack something essential that would be very helpful for you here in India? And how can you lighten the load of your packing list by not bringing stuff you can buy cheaply over here? Snoopy one looks priceless, although they may not exactly fit my sophisticated aesthetic. I'm here, so I've learned the hard way basically. I've made a bunch of mistakes. I've now chronicled them in an ebook. It's called How to Plan a Smart Trip to India. And if you'd prefer to read versus watch this video, you can join my email list, get the book for free, and I'll also be sending out regular emails a couple times a month probably with up-to-date information about traveling India. I'm making this video at a time where I'm planning my next trip in India. I'm looking at the Northeast India, a more off the beaten path destination. So I'm using a lot of these tips myself here that will cover. Yeah, other things like what are the best times and places to visit. I've been to 12 states in India is my current count, handful of territories. I've been to the very north, to the very south, not fully to the east, but a lot of eastern places like Kolkata. I've been to the west, so I can help you avoid planning a trip to Delhi during the monsoon and getting stuck in your hotel or having to face floods, which has happened to me before. We'll also cover popular topics such as scams and avoiding fees and that sort of thing. So, with that said, let's dive in on how you can plan a smart trip to India. This is what I came to Nijing Lake for. So let's dive in with the first priority, which is keeping you healthy. Let's not get sick while we're in India. Let's not get any crazy disease. Let's not have stomach problems. So your go-to resource when you're starting off your research is the cdc.gov. Come here, you're going to see Indian travel health notices, and it's going to give you which vaccinations you should get, what sort of health precautions you could take, and if there's anything currently happening in India. For instance, we see global measles is big, so you probably want your measles vaccination. But some of these, it's going to mention like the routine vaccinations, which you're probably already caught up on. And then the other vaccinations you should get. You can see they're listed here, what they cover, what you might need. So malaria, this is a popular one that many people are worried about. My parents, or my mom and my aunt, brought malaria pills recommended by their doctor. And I know that a lot of other people choose to go that route. You can see that it's going to recommend for most travelers what you should get here. And you can either show this to your doctor, or he or she will probably know about this when you go get checked out before you come to India. So read about this. Book yourself a doctor checkup visit with this. Tell them you're going to India. They are going to give you all the worst case scenarios you need to know. They're going to freak you out. They're going to tell you like the worst thing that could possibly happen. So you get all of these as possible. Now, do what your doctor says, of course. I'm just a guy on the internet. I'm going to share my personal experience about it. My mom and my aunt, they got the full round of vaccinations, and they were very happy they did. I was happy they did because, they're coming for 6 weeks or so, and you want them to be safe. Now, myself, I had already gotten my vaccinations. They were up to date. I went to the doctor and just got a basic checkup and decided not to get the vaccinations, the other vaccinations that were recommended. Now, why did I do that? I did that because I had friends in India that said they didn't do it and that they were fine and they had lived in India for years. So I have a higher risk tolerance than most. So I was like, you know what? That's made sense to me, and that's what I did. Now, I'm not saying do that. That's my personal experience. That's what I did. Do what makes you sleep good at night. Like, if you're worried about malaria, bring malaria pills. I know a lot of people do it, including YouTubers or people that have been there a long time, and that's totally cool. Do what your doctor says and what you think is best, because, nothing's probably going to happen, but you want to sleep well when you're, in that hotel and there's a mosquito buzzing around your room, and you don't want to be worried about that kind of thing. So handle this first. As we get to the more interesting stuff, like which destinations to go, you're going to be happy to know that you went to the doctor and you've covered it. So with that note, let's go to Indian travel advisories. Now, India is a safe country. You want to be smart just like you would in any big city, or if you're in New York City or any place. But this state.gov website will let you know if there's anything to worry about. India does have something going on with Pakistan always. So here we can see that there's a level 2 exercise caution, a travel advisory issued recently, and they're mentioning Jammu and Kashmir due to terrorist and civil unrest, and you shouldn't go within 10 kilometers of the Indian-Pakistan border due to a potential for armed conflict. So again, this is something to read first, to give you a broad knowledge of what to do and what not to do. So for you, maybe you don't want to go to Jammu and Kashmir. Now, I will say I was just there 2 months ago and I was perfectly safe. I stayed in a houseboat for one night and saw some beautiful mountains and met a nice family, and nothing dangerous happened. But there was a large police presence and, armed police on the street at regular intervals, and I was feeling nervous in certain situations. So there's that. This will give you a overview and a heads up on where to go and where not to go. And so again, some of this is kind of weird too, because I was just at the Indian-Pakistan border. They do a ceremony near Amritsar where both military have this kind of song and dance. This is a good resource for you to constantly check and consider as you're planning your destinations. So with insurance, I covered that in its own video you can watch on my channel. It's super old, one of my worst videos ever, but the information is still accurate. The real question is, how much travel insurance do you need? The basic point on insurance is if you're going to India for the first time, get insurance. Safety Wing is like $20 a month, $30 a month. Like, it's very inexpensive for a month. So, and this will give you basic, solid coverage that if something happens, you're going to be okay. And that's what you'd want. Now, if you have electronic devices like I have, it would be better to go with someone like World Nomads, who has more money, that if your laptop gets stolen or broken or something happens to it on the trip, you have the potential to get your money back. I think it was up to $2,000 when I purchased a policy through them. That might have changed. Check the fine details, but World Nomads is recommended by most everyone. It's a great service. And these, either Safety Wing if you want to go super budget, and World Nomads if you want a little bit more coverage, especially for your electronic devices, are where you would want to go. Now, if you're going to India for the first time, you're on a monthly trip, it's a no-brainer to spend that money so that you just sleep easier at night. If you're, a long-term traveler like myself, then you may want to consider, and I'm just going to say my personal experience here again. I currently don't have any travel insurance, and I haven't had it for over a year because I had it for a couple of years at first, and I never really needed it. So if the cost of medical stuff in India is so inexpensive that if something were to happen, like, I have money set aside for it, basically. If something were to happen, I could pay for an extended stay in an Indian hospital because it's going to be less expensive than an American hospital by far. So that's just the risk that I'm willing to take and the way that I'm handling it. And probably more long term, if you're here for years and years and you have, I know a good hospital I could go to, and that sort of thing. So that's just another thing to think about. For most people, get the insurance. It's relatively inexpensive when you're planning your trip, and it's going to help you sleep safer at night. Now let's cover visas, which again I did a whole video on, but I'm just going to cover some updated things on, and I'll have a resource in the description you can check out too if you just want that. Visas are where I get the most questions. So India, one of the main reasons why I love India is there's less to deal with visas. Like if you go to Bali, you're going to have to re-up your visa every 30 days or so. Quick sip of coffee. With India, you can get a 5-year visa online that you don't need to do anything for. You can stay for 6 months at a time. And it's $80, I think. Maybe it's a little bit less. Maybe it's a little bit more. Maybe it's $200. But I think it's definitely in that range. $80 to $200 to get a 5-year visa is unheard of. It's super inexpensive. And staying 6 months at a time is great. Now that's for the USA and some other countries like Britain and some other countries, that India's close with. If you have a more little known country, it's going to be less advantageous. But if you're from one of those big countries, you got a great option to stay in India a long time. I have a 10-year visa. I did it the old-fashioned way of going to the embassy, sending in paperwork. It wasn't too much work, though. I paid a couple $100, and now I got 10 years of traveling to India with 6 months at a time. Now here's the thing that changed from the video I made, and that's more I walk you through exactly how to get the visa. So if you're at that stage, check out that video. I go on the website and show you exactly what to do. Cover common mistakes too, which you don't want to get rejected mostly just because it's annoying. But what was I gonna say? I was saying visa. Oh, the way that the visa thing has changed is sometimes the government has new policies. When I first came to India, you could stay for 6 months, leave, go to Sri Lanka, come right back, and stay another 6 months, and you were good. Now you can only stay 180 calendar days in a year. So they've reduced that time. So that's why I'm currently in Nepal Airbnb right behind me. And that's why I'm planning my trip back to India come January when I head back to India. So I'll be in Nepal for 3 months, and then Malaysia for 3 months, then back to India to do another 180 calendar days and complete my visiting every state in India. So visa stuff does change. That's one of the annoying things about it. But if you're just coming for a short bit, you can get a 30-day visa very easily. That's one of the e-visa options. So 90-day visa, I think, is an option as well. So basically, go to the website. I'll link it below. If you want more information, watch my whole video as I walk you through the process, because there's just some weird stuff. The different things they call your last name is your surname, basic stuff that, if you're not familiar with Indian terminology, and it's a bureaucratic website, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not that bad. Now, if you don't want to deal with it at all, my girlfriend at the time, she would just not want to deal with the process. If that's the type of person you are, pay $20 or so, go to iVisa, choose Indian visa, boom, give them some basic info, and they're going to fill it out for you. If there's a problem, they're going to handle the problem. So that's a good way to avoid just the hassle of it and get to the fun part, which is planning out your itinerary, which we're going to get to soon. He wants to upgrade my mood.
Yes, so I am talking with him.
He's always trying to introduce me to girls. Now let's get to the fun part of your trip, which is planning out where to go. And India has many, many options. They got something for everyone. Whether you're wanting the authentic Indian experience, I got you covered. We'll talk about the popular places to go, and I'll talk about some underknown, offbeat places, off the beaten path places you can go to get that authentic Indian experience, to really experience the culture of India without, rubbing elbows with every tourist from every nationality. We'll also cover you want beaches. There's a great, inexpensive, beautiful beach destinations we can cover. We can go big cities. We can go small towns. We can go yoga retreats and places. Ayurvedic retreats like mountains, jungles, safaris. You want to see some tigers? India's got tigers. So I wrote a post about the best time to visit India, and it basically covers like, let's say you want to go in June, boom, these are the best places to go to India in June. What you don't want to happen, you don't want to go to Delhi and then be stuck there during the monsoon and be, like checking out what's on the TV in your hotel room the entire time or getting flooded out on the roads. I was just in Chandigarh during the monsoon. I'd planned to go to Himalaya Pradesh. Was going to see Manali and Shimla, and I noticed that for a couple days, like it was just raining a lot, and was thinking like, man, I wonder if I'm going to be able to ride the train and the bus is going to go. And I check out the news and like there's like big pictures of landslides and broken highways and floods, and during monsoon, like that happens. So train got canceled, bus got canceled. I lost some money on some tours that were non-refundable. And then I found some good bus booking sites that were refundable. So basically you want to keep an eye out on that sort of stuff. And this guide in this post will help you do that. So let's check it out real quick. First, let's talk about the most popular destinations. If you're going for 2 weeks in India, what should you see? Now, most people go to see the Golden Triangle, which is Delhi, Agra, and Jaipur. Quick to get to. In 2 weeks, you can have plenty of time in each destination. You can really get a sense of India. Because in Delhi, you can go to the main Red Fort and the Humayun's Tomb and the popular destinations, which are beautiful and you'd want to see if it's your only time in India. But you can also go to some cool neighborhoods and some eateries and some street food that fewer people go to. Delhi has it all. Agra is smaller. You want to go to the Taj Mahal if it's your only trip. You have to see it. It's a wonder of the world for a reason. I was thinking like, it's, I want to go to the more offbeat spots. But man, I was blown away by the Taj Mahal. You definitely want to go to it. But Agra, aside from that, doesn't have a ton to see. There are a few other historical spots which you'll go check out. But in a few days in Agra, and you're kind of like, all right, where's the next place? Jaipur, for the history, they have a beautiful fort, palace. The culture of Rajasthan is cool. Like I stayed in a homestay of royalty. Like these people, like they had a nice homestay, but they also, in their village, they had like a fort that they were responsible for. There's a name for it that I'm forgetting now, but it basically means like Indian royalty. Not like, they didn't have servants or anything like that, but it was a nice place, nice people. Anyways, like that's sort of the vibe in Jaipur, and you'd want to go check out Amber Palace and that kind of thing. That's for 2 weeks, 1 week, a short trip. Golden Triangle is the most popular destination for good reason. There's so much to see. And you can really get an authentic Indian experience along with seeing the most popular destinations. Now let's check out more of this post and some more destinations to see. So here you can see the different temperatures for all the popular destinations that we'll kind of cover as we're going through this. So Mumbai, Leh or Ladakh, I just came from there. This is the mountains in India, has a Tibetan culture, and if you want to ride a motorcycle through the mountains, you want to go trekking, that's the place to go. But you don't want to go there during the typical time because it's at over 10,000 feet elevation, and during the winter time in India, which is the best time to visit, January, December, November, February, these are the best times to go to India because this is the most moderate time for someone who's not used to really hot temperatures. So in most places in India, you'll go during the winter time, but you don't want to go to this place in the winter time because you're gonna be freezing. So you go there in the summertime. So that's what this post will help you out with. You can put in the month you want to go, and it's going to give you some top destination recommendations. We covered Rajasthan a little bit, Jaipur, but there are other beautiful places in Rajasthan that I still need to see too. Udaipur, which is like the city of lakes. There's some beautiful lakes there, surrounded by the really cool Rajasthani homes and buildings, which are more like mud clay kind of thing. So that's some other options. We got Kolkata. I was there. This is the east side of India. You have a street food, which is top notch. It's gonna rival some of the best, Delhi street food or Mumbai, which are also known for it. But Kolkata has that. Kerala, which is in the south. Kerala is one of the easiest states to go to in India, meaning it's probably the cleanest state. They have the most money, so things are a little bit better kept than some other places you might see. It's on the water, so it's cool. They have a district called Fort Kochi, which has great shopping, great food. The culture, there's more of a Christian population, which, it's not about religion more, but it's just, you're going to find more dishes that you're used to. Basically, it's a good place to sort of acclimate yourself to India versus like diving into, like a Delhi traffic jam. There's going to be less of that. So it's definitely a place that fewer tourists go, that you would want to add to your list. One thing to note there is the times to visit there. While you still could go there in the winter time, the monsoon times are different for Kerala than for some other parts of India. So you will want to check those out. That's why this post is good. Goa, let's say you want a cheap beach destination. Goa is the spot. I've spent a few months there this year, and it was a great place to get some work done, to go to the beach, to get some solid seafood and some other foods. And it also just has, like a really relaxed vibe, that really relaxed vibe. Varanasi would be another essential destination you'd want to put on your list. Like, it's not too far from Agra. So if you wanted to expand from the Golden Triangle, you would be seeing a place that you're only going to see in India. Like, this would be a must-see place, in my opinion. And there is a fast train that goes from Delhi to Varanasi. So, or maybe even Agra. There's definitely a train that goes from Agra to Varanasi. But you have the Ganges River here. You have the burning ghats where they cremate their dead right along the river. You can watch the ceremony. It's shocking. It's not for the faint of heart, but quintessential Indian destination. Winding streets in one of the oldest cities that was in the entire world. Amazing place. Definitely highly recommended. Now, let's say you want more of like tech workers in a big city. Also has amazing food. Bangalore would be the spot, the Silicon Valley of India. If you want to go, if you're going to spend a long time in India, this will be one of the destinations to consider because it has good Wi-Fi. They have a metro that can take you around the city. They got a lot of cool co-working shops. They got great street food. South Indian food is delicious, different than North Indian food. Their poti uttapam is out of this world. So that's a place. Also the weather is a little bit more moderate because it's at a higher elevation than many places in India. So great place to visit, put on your list. And nearby Bangalore are some cool ruins. You have Hampi, which is another, I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list for sure. It's a ruin in Karnataka, and there's some other really cool places to see near Bangalore. Now, continuing with South India, we have Chennai, a city on the east side of India. Has some more modern places. It's a really strong industry in Chennai. Yet South India, this is in Tamil Nadu, has more of like a conservative, traditional India, and even Tamil culture, which is different. Tamil is one of the oldest languages in the world and has people who really feel strongly about their culture, which is somewhat different than Delhi and North India. So I spent most of my time in Tamil Nadu for the first few years I was in India, and was really happy I did because I was very welcomed there. And people are more friendly, I guess you could say. It's kind of more of a small town kind of feel versus Delhi, which one of my Indian friends in the USA described it this way. Like in Delhi, it's kind of a madhouse in certain places. And he said you could be dying on the street and people are just going to walk over you. Now, that isn't fully my experience, but it's a little bit more so. People in Chennai, there's fewer tourists that come there, and you might feel more welcome than in other places. Now, Chennai is also one of the top destinations for medical tourism. So if you're thinking about going to a doctor, or some friends of mine were going to the dentist to save a ton of money and still get good coverage, like that's a good spot to do it. So let's cover some other less well-known places and go through the different times to see these destinations in India. And I'm not going to go through each one. I didn't mention Mumbai, but Mumbai is another. I was blown away by Mumbai. I was scared to go there when I first arrived because I thought it would be overwhelming. But man, it's so interesting to see the beautiful historical architecture that's right on the water. With the modern aspects. They have, luxury malls and luxury shopping, and then, these historic monuments and buildings and markets right next to each other. So Mumbai, if you're going for authentic culture, I think Mumbai is another place that I would totally recommend. They also have cricket, which would be a good experience too if you like sports at all. To watch Indians cheer on cricket is pretty fun. Plus you get some cool snacks in the stands and whatnot. The Himalayas, if you're going to go to India in the summertime, this is the place to go. You can see you can see temples, and they have great Tibetan food, and it's one of the best places to be while most of India is too hot. This is a place to come that's pretty mild. Rajasthan we covered. It's the desert there, so you do want to go there in the wintertime. Kolkata has a celebration when's the Durga Puja? Is one of the biggest festivals in India. Festival or October. If that's the time you're going to be there, then that would be a special consideration to make, because Durga is one of the main gods in Hindu, and Kolkata, it's like their mother god, they consider it their mother. I'm speaking generally, so I know there's a lot of variation, but that's why it's so popular there. Kerala, we mentioned. The backwaters of Kerala are a relaxed place. A lot of people go there for their wedding. People rent a houseboat and they go off for a few days or a week. We only did a few-hour trip, which I would probably want to do longer if I went back there, but Kochi was one of my top spots. We stayed in a first-class hotel room there for less than $50 a night. Nice pool. Was awesome. My mom and aunt really liked it because it was cleaner than, some spots of Delhi you're getting rough and tumble. There's so many people, whereas Kochi and Kerala, it's going to be a lot cleaner. You're not going to have stray dogs or cows roaming the streets in the same way you have in some parts of Delhi. Not all parts of Delhi, because there's some really nice parts of Delhi, but some of the neighborhoods in Delhi. Goa, another place I've spent a lot of time in. I wouldn't go to Goa if you're only going on one trip, because you can go to nice beach destinations in other places. I would go to Goa if you have more time and you want a chill destination in India. Varanasi is a must-see. Bangalore, if you're going to stay longer, it's a place I would consider. Chennai, I would definitely go south, either Kerala or Chennai or Bangalore, but you only really need to see one of those, I think. Best time to go is the winter time, so January or December. If you're going to be in the monsoon, which is June or July, then you can go north, because there's not a monsoon in Ladakh. So that's a good overview of the top destinations to consider. Another post you might want to check out is the best festivals to visit in India, because one thing that's great is there's more festivals in India than days in a year, so they're always happening. But if you can see some really cool ones, they're once-in-a-lifetime experiences. For example, you've heard of Holi, and it's celebrated in the USA. But go to Holi in Delhi, and you're going to see a time. I've experienced it in Goa and it was more chill, but some of the videos that I've watched in Delhi is pretty intense. Diwali is another top destination, or excuse me, festival in India. The Festival of Lights, people shooting off fireworks, ceremonies surrounding candles, temples, parades. It's very authentically Indian, and you can get a sense for like what people care about. There's also a ton of harvest festivals. When I was in the South, there was a festival called Pongal, and there's a dish called Pongal, which is sort of a rice dish that you have for breakfast. But this was like the end of the harvest season, and people were celebrating. And there's tons of beautiful color mandalas outside of people's homes. And again, people are going to temples. People are having parades. There's big floats, Indian style floats, huge things people are carrying through the streets. Super cool. You definitely want to come during the festivals. Now, if you're coming in the wintertime, check out that guide to the festivals, because you can see exactly which places and times. Another thing to consider there is Diwali is a time when a lot of Indians are traveling too. They want to see family, so you want to plan in advance. If you're coming in the wintertime, planning in advance you'll definitely want to do it, because the trains are going to fill up, the buses are going to fill up, and that sort of thing. Now, this leads me to future section, which is how to get around India. We're going to cover airports, trains, buses, taxis, rickshaws, and metros, anything else. Any way you can get around in India, we're going to cover it. One of the biggest things that's going to make your trip awesome in India or terrible is where you stay. I've stayed in some amazing places, and for some reason I like those cities more than places where I've stayed in some dodgy places, or been like, man, you're pulling up the sheets and just feeling like, I don't know if this is clean. I don't know about this hotel here. I should have splurged that extra $5 on a better hotel. So I'll cover some tips that I use to find good accommodation, common sense. Here's the big mistake I think some people make. They hear India's inexpensive, and so they're like, whoa, I can get a $5 hotel room? Let's do that. When you want to probably get the mid-range hotel rooms or Airbnbs when you're in India. And a mid-range, I'm talking $15 to $25 a night. You could spend more, easily spend more, and some places you will. And you could spend less, and in some places you will. But, in general, $15 to $25 a night. So what is that? $15? We're talking, 1,000 to 1,500 rupees to 3,000 rupees per night. You're going to get a pretty solid hotel room in most places. All right, now let's cover scams and ways to avoid fees to save yourself some money. You don't want to be wasting a bunch of money. That's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth on India. I've been in India over 4 years. I've never been scammed out of money, I've never had large sums lost. Now I've lost some negotiations with taxi drivers where I'm like, man, I know I'm not getting the best rate here. But that's sort of that's a battle you're going to lose. You just want to try to minimize the damage. And I'll show you how. I'll give you some tips. Even have a script on my website about how you can negotiate with rickshaw drivers. Because those guys are good. They're good at it. You're going to lose, but you want to minimize the damage. So I have this post, 80 tour scams in India. Basically every scam you've ever thought of is on this post. Give it a quick read. Like I mentioned, I was really worried about getting scammed, thinking it was everywhere when I first came to India, and it ruined some of my enjoyment, when in reality, most people are super nice. They're gonna, be more like, hey, can we take a selfie, than try to scam you. But it is good to know. So let's cover some of the top ones to consider. Now, the one you're gonna most face is people charging you higher prices than what they're worth. So rickshaw drivers, as soon as you come out of the airport, somebody's going to be like 1,500 rupees to go to a short distance, which is like $20 to go a very short distance. Now, coming out of the airport, it is higher price. You can't get a taxi out of the airport for less than 500 rupees, even a short distance. So you're going to pay more there. But that's as cheap as you're going to get it. So in places like that where there's tons of new tourists, you're going to find people that are going to quote you a price that's crazy high. So what you need to do when that happens, okay, let's put ourselves in the situation where we just got quoted a price from a rickshaw driver that's way too high. We know it. We still want to ride with them. We're not going to walk away. So here's what we do is they say 1,500. We say, like you're going to take your phone and be like, so I'm going 4 kilometers to this hotel. I know I can get a rickshaw for about 50 rupees per kilometer, so that's 200. Would you consider this price? Now 50 is just, that's what you can get in a normal place. You're not going to get that in some places, like right outside the airport in Delhi. But that's what you're going to want to do. You're going to kind of talk through how you thought about it. You know how far you're going, where you're going, and you're going to then quote them a lower price. This is going to give, you're not a dumb tourist, basically. Now, some drivers are going to say, no, right off the bat, and not give you another price. Those drivers you might want to walk away from because they're looking for the dumb tourist that's going to like pay $1,500 without caring. And you probably won't get too far. So you're going to want to identify the people you can't negotiate with and just find someone else, because there's plenty of drivers that would negotiate with you. And what they're going to do, that driver is going to be like, they're going to say, okay, 1,000, or they're going to bring their price down a bit. So then all you're going to do, then you're going to say something. You don't need to say like anything great. You just need to have a reason for then quoting a new price that's also low. And so you're going to say, well, it is 4 kilometers. I guess I could take the metro out of here, which is a lower price, but I do want to go with you. Would you consider 300 rupees? So you're going to come up a little bit. You're going to talk some, and you're going to try to basically get them at 50% of what they originally offered you. And in most cases, that's going to be decent. For you, it's going to be a cheap thing. And for them, they're going to make it decent enough off of you that they'll be happy to drive you to that place. So that's basically what you're going for in the negotiation. Just another thing that I like to do is just, like whatever price they tell me right off of the bat, I'm like, whoa, big price. Even if it's always a big price, I should say. So I do actually feel that way. But you don't want to be like, oh, I could do that. Or you don't want to make it easy on them. You want to like play a role. I'm like acting when I'm negotiating with them. I'm like, whoa, like that's big. Whew. I don't know if I can do that, and most of the time I'm trying to have a good time with it myself. I'm just like, wow, you really get tourists that much? Wow. Come on, give me the local price. I'm kind of talking to them. I'm trying to make it a little more fun than, and some guys will go for it. And those are the best rides because you got a guy who has a decent sense of humor and isn't just looking to make a ton of money off some idiot tourists. One easy way to save money on your trip to India is by getting a debit card, ATM card that has no ATM fees, because using an ATM is the best way to exchange money in India. You're going to save money on that. Even though you'll pay some fees in some cases, you will pay less than if you go to like a money exchange place. So having a good ATM card. The best ATM card is Charles Schwab High Yield Investor Checking Account. I'll put a link. I'll put my post about how to avoid ATM fees. That's the best one. Any ATM fee you pay, they're going to rebate you. So, you pay $20 in ATM fees, you get a $20 rebate at the end of your time. So that's perfect. You pay no fees. Now, you got to have good credit for that. When I first went to India, my credit was suspect. So another option is Chime. Chime, you will only pay an international transaction fee, which I think is 1% or 2%. But this will save you. You're not going to pay the ATM fee, but you got to pay the transaction fee. So maybe you take out $150. What are you going to spend? $2 or $4 per transaction. Not great. Not the Charles Schwab, which is free, but also not Bank of America, which I was paying $6 or $8 for every transaction at an ATM. So you don't want to pay 5 or 10% of your withdrawal. Like that's a horrible return. So Charles Schwab, Chime, another one, Lending Club. I've had good good experiences with them. They're my backup because I don't believe they have fees. I used them for a while. There's something about them that I didn't like. I'm trying to think. Anyways, they're my backup. Go with Lending Club as your backup. Do check it out though. I think I'm forgetting something about. I think their service, their interface, their web interface isn't as good. It's kind of a pain sometimes, but Lending Club overall, like I would recommend it. I'm recommending it here, but yeah, have them as your backup. If you can't get the Charles Schwab, do get the Chime. Chime is also good for online transactions, like when I'm booking trains and buses with an Indian company. Chime is like always accepted for some reason, and sometimes Charles Schwab isn't accepted for whatever reason. So those are the two options there to avoid fees. I would definitely look that up because you're going to save money or straight off the bat with not paying ATM When you're fees. Getting around India, there are a few things you will definitely want to know. One, you should definitely take a train. An Indian train ride is a must-do experience. They go everywhere. They're inexpensive. You can get a first-class ticket for very reasonable prices. I took a 13-hour train ride, and it was $25 for a first-class ticket. You're in a car with 4 people that's kind of closed off, so it's quieter. And anyone who's buying that ticket, is a little bit more, they're going to be a little bit more polite probably than, you're kind of bustling in like a super cheap car. You tend to meet people who are a little bit, not always, but odds of having a really enjoyable experience are less. You can still have one, and you should try that if you can, but a first class ticket can be fun. I met a cinematographer who's also into film. We're talking about movies the entire time. Great trip. But the Indian train is a must-do experience, but there's many different good ways to get around. Like Indian flights, you can basically fly across the country for $100 everywhere. Unless it's a weird airport, but pretty much everywhere you can go. So it's a good way to get around. It's quick. Indian airports are good. I have nothing bad to say about them. Little weird in the customs line, the security line. If you got a bunch of electronics like myself, because Indians don't do lines as much as like America. If you tried to cut in line, like some security guard would whap you in the knees, that's not flying. But in India, you might be able to push your way in. People do try it, so you got to kind of hold your ground. And so anyways, if you got a lot of electronics through security, you're trying to put all your laptops and cameras, and it's just like, oh man, I'm going to lose it. There's that on the flight. So that's one thing to consider. But like I said, Indian flights go everywhere. If you're staying for a couple weeks, go north, fly south, take a train somewhere. You're going to be happy you did. I got a post on Indian airports with tips to learn about. I got a video about how to book your Indian train. Booking an Indian train is simple. You can do it from the USA. They accept international cards. There's the main website like IRCTC, and you can find your trips. You want to book in advance because sometimes to main destinations they'll have so many, that they're probably not going to get booked up. But for instance, if you're going from Delhi to Agra, but if you're going on a weird train ride, you will want to book it in advance, because we didn't get a good class when we booked a train to Khajuraho in the middle of India, and it was my mom and my aunt's first train ride, and we were in kind of like we were in the sleeper class, which isn't bad, but it's not AC. We had just a small little fan. We came in the middle of the night. Somebody's in my aunt's bunk, which is common. If no one's there, someone might sleep in the bed, so you just got to be like, hey, that's my seat. Or just choose another one, because no one's going to be in all of them if that's the case. So, but anyways, there was no like second AC or first class option because they were all booked up. So booking in advance is something you'll want to consider for a train ride. You'll also, sleeper buses are great. Get a nice sleeper bus from one destination to another. You'll save on hotels. They're different than trains in that you're kind of more closed off in a sleeper bus, because you can have your own little berth and have a little curtain, close it off, and have your own little thing to charge up your phone, a power adapter. You got your window. Whereas in a train, everyone sits normally during the daytime, and unless you book the top one, you can't just go up there and sleep, and there aren't like curtains to close yourself off. So sleeper buses on a luxury sleeper bus or a private sleeper bus are good. If you want an authentic experience, it's taking a state-run local bus. You can go everywhere for basically nothing, and it's less comfortable, but very interesting. And I recommend doing it if you have a shot at it. I've showed up to bus stations and been like, hey, where's the next bus to this place? And then I go to this one. I'm like, hey, you got any AC buses? Any really nice ones? They're like, nope. And you're like, all right, well, let's do this one. And you'll meet some good people and some local people, and people will come in and sell some food, and you'll see the villages where people stop, and it's worthwhile to give that a shot. Definitely try sleeper buses. You can book those online on redbus.com, and Redbus is great because you can also get a good refund on it if you change your plans, which happens. So there's that. Metros, also in big cities, consider getting a hotel near a metro stop because you can just go to the metro, go long distances on the metro around a city, and then get rickshaws short distances, so you have less to worry about with the negotiations and haggling, and more like riding in air conditioned. And if you go on the non-peak hours, like nobody's on it, so everyone else is at work and you're traveling, so you just go earlier or later than the typical time, which is around 8 o'clock in the morning when everyone's getting on it, or 5 o'clock at night. And you're gonna be riding in comfort. So metros are also great. I got a ton of videos on pretty much every metro on most big cities in India, so check those out if you need more how to go through the process, but it's super simple. Private taxis are reasonably priced, much more expensive than any other form here, but you get your own guy to drive you. In the taxis that I've taken, let's say you're going 3 to 4 hours, it's going to be about $50, $40, $60, somewhere in that range. And then, factor that lower, you're going to go less. 30 minutes, maybe you're going to pay $20 for a private taxi. You can find them on websites like Ease My Trip and Make My Trip, which sell everything in India, every type of transport. And, they're going to be reliable. They're going to be good. You can go on Uber and get a private taxi from place to place. You just book, you just type in, I want to go to Agra on Uber, and then it's going to be like, oh, intercity, and they're going to allow you to book it. You would want to do it in advance probably, okay, I'm going to go tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and then the taxi guy can see that and book it or make sure that he's there at that time. So Uber is another option I use all the time. Go to the airport, go to another city, something like that. So after over 4 years, here's what I've learned about packing well. Now, my packing strategy is lighter is best. I have one carry-on and 1 day pack, and that's what I carry. And I've been traveling around for years. So keep that in mind. Maybe you pack more, maybe you pack less, but this is a good packing list for both men and women on what to bring and, importantly, what not to bring. So, but also, we don't want you leaving anything essential at home and being in a bad situation. So I have a post with all these details on packing lists for India trip. We got a free PDF you can download right here. But here's the overview of it, and I'll go in some more details here. So we got 2 t-shirts. Now, I use a merino wool travel t-shirt. It allows me to go to the sink, put a little shampoo on it, wash it up, hang it somewhere in the hotel room, and if the fan's on by morning, you will be dry and ready to go. So that means I only need 2 of them. One to wear, one to wash, and then wear the next day. And even let's say I'm busy, I don't get around to washing it. It is antimicrobial, meaning that if I just wear it 1 day and don't wash it, it's not going to stink or be like cotton, be drenched in sweat. It's going to be dry and fresh and ready to go the next day. Now, you do that multiple days, you're pushing it. But 1 day or 2 days, you'll be good on not having to wash it every single day, which is nice. A stressful day, even a minimal wash in the sink might be asking a lot. Now, you also want to bring a long sleeve shirt. Some temples force you to have long sleeve shirts. Not all of them, but it's a good thing to have. Also, just if you're going to be in the sun, It's better to have like a long sleeve shirt covering you so you don't get sunburn, which would be worse than having. I lost my point there. I fixed my coffee over here, which is the pressing concern. So, but anyways, bring a long sleeve shirt. You can get tailor-made shirts in India. It's a side point, but I say that because my long sleeve shirt was a tailor-made shirt that I had made for like $7 in India, and it was super nice. But moving along here, let's go to travel underwear. 2 pairs of travel underwear, similar to the travel shirt, the merino wool shirts. You can wash these in your sink. They'll be dry by morning and antimicrobial, so helps kill stuff you want to kill. Moving along, we got moisture wicking socks. Some of those smart wool socks are great. Again, you can wash them in your sink. They'll dry by morning. You can wear them multiple days if you need to. Antimicrobial. So good stuff there. Now, 1 pair of long pants, jeans, skirt. Having something long like that is good for some temples. They'll require you to wear long sleeves or a long skirt. I have a pair of jeans I keep, and it's good to have if you just want to dress up a little bit. Also good because then you don't get sunburnt, which is good. You can bring shorts. Some people recommend it. I say bring shorts. Nobody cares. I think there's a misconception that Indians dress very conservatively and you gotta, cover up a lot. I haven't found that to be the case. You can pretty much wear whatever you want. No one really cares. Unless you're in like a small village, then don't wear something really crazy. But just whatever normal stuff you're wearing is going to be fine. 1 sweatshirt or sweater. I bring something so in the air-conditioned buses or trains or airports, you're not going to get cold. But aside from that, I haven't needed it. Unless it's like the winter time in Ladakh, or not even the winter time in Ladakh, but even the summertime there, I used it sometimes if it was raining a lot and kind of chilly. It's good to have. You can also pick up something cheap in India. Clothes in India are very cheap, so you'll notice this is pretty light. If I need something, I'll buy it, and it's not going to be very expensive. Like, for instance, before I go on train trips, I'll consider buying like another hooded sweatshirt or a stocking hat or some jogging sweatpants to just make sure I'm warm enough because they're cheap there. And if I, after the journey, I can get rid of them if I don't need them. You do want comfortable walking shoes and sandals. Now, let's see. Did I mention my favorite? I got some great shoes that are, I totally want to recommend them. Boom. Comfortable walking shoes and sandals. Kizik's. I got these slip-on awesome running shoes. You don't have to bend down. You don't have to untie them. But they're not like, they're not going to get a back heel that gets all worn out because you're always slipping them in and off because they're not meant to do that. These are meant to do that. They have like technology that people who have had like a leg replaced, an artificial leg, the company bought this technology that was used for people who had like an artificial limbs since they couldn't bend down. And now they realize it's like convenient and lazy people like me don't want to have to bend down and do your shoes. It's annoying when you're in Delhi and you're traveling around and it's hot and you want to go into a shop, but they make you take your shoes off in some cases. And then you got to have your camera bag and take it off and then go down and sit somewhere and untie it. Now you just quickly slip on, go inside, come back, slip them back on, and you're ready to go. So anyways, that's helpful because it's a custom in some Indian stores or temples, definitely. You can't take off your shoes. So comfortable walking shoes you can slip in and slip off. So important. Now, moisture wicking hat, you can see here, this brand is, I swear by it. Some of the other hats I've had have not been moisture wicking, and with the Indian climate as it is, it didn't last too long because it'd be like this dark stain here after a short bit of time, which you do not want. India is better to have a backpack than like a suitcase on a rolling with the little rollers. Like, you're not going to be able to use that on many of the streets. You're going to have to carry it when it's easier to have a backpack like this. I like this one. It has these straps that make it condense. Or if I buy extra stuff, it can get bigger. Like when I went home with a bunch of souvenirs, it was at its max capacity. but it also fits as check-in luggage, or excuse me, no, carry-on luggage. So I always have that as my carry-on, and I've been fine with it. And I really like it. It is, what is it? Motherload Weekender by eBags. Now, this is another one I was eyeing. I don't have, but I would consider, and it has a little day pack that straps on the back. Super cool. My girlfriend had this one, and this was, she really liked it. Packable day pack. Now, this is key. So I have my carry-on, which is bigger, and then I have a small packable day pack that packs up like this big. And so usually when I'm in an airport, I have that open with all my electronics so I can go through security. But if I needed to, I can pack it up and stick it and only have one bag in my carry-on. And if I'm in like a city, then I can use it just to have my day stuff, my camera or whatever, maybe buying some groceries, put into it. So I think a packable day pack is clutch. You can do some of these. This thing is super key. You can go on and get it in Amazon right now. You can put anything in there you need to, and it's not going to burst your device from an electrical surge. You can also have a couple USB slots, which are key, because sometimes you'll be in a hotel room that's a little bit older, and there'll be one outlet. So if you're like me, you got a laptop, camera, you got all these things to plug in, and so you got to be like, oh, it's been 3 hours, change it, and you don't want to do that. So with this, you can just plug all your stuff into one outlet and you're good to go. Now this power bank I think is super key. I had a smaller one when I first came to India, and that was stressful because my phone and my power bank could run out if I used it a lot that day. And you don't want that. You don't want to be stuck somewhere without your phone. You want to be because you might need it to be hey, rickshaw guy, take a left, bro. My hotel's down there. So a power bank, this has 3 charges I could do. No, 5 charges on my iPhone for the day. I'm never going to run out. And let's say I get home and I'm tired and I don't want to plug it in. Then I can forget about it, and the next day do the same thing and I'll be good. So this one also allows me to plug in my MacBook, and it only gives me a few hours, but sometimes there's a power cut. This gives me a few more hours of work before my MacBook goes out, which is pretty much all I need, and I haven't had to use it too much. But anyways, that's one that I really like. Let's cover safety tips for India. We don't want you getting sick. We want you to have an amazing time. So the worst thing that could happen, the most likely thing that could happen, is you get sick on Delhi belly. You've got a stomach bug because you ate some food or drank some water you shouldn't have, and now you're down for 2 to 3 days, not feeling great, puking, diarrhea. It's rough. So it's the most common thing that's going to happen. It happens to a lot of people. So if you have it happen, it's not the end of the world. What you can do, I'll also tell you how to prevent it, but what you can do if you get it is, 1, bring grapefruit extract. I mention it in my packing list, and have that. Take some of it. It has a ton of antibiotics in it. No, not antibiotics. What's I'm not thinking of it now. A strong mineral, a lot of good minerals and antioxidants. That's what it is. Got a ton of antioxidants. You actually can take that proactively just when you're having a meal, put a few drops in water, drink it. It's good for your stomach. Take that. You can take charcoal if it's really bad. It's going to activated charcoal. It's going to help you pass things in a more sturdy sort of way. You can bring Pepto-Bismol. All this stuff you can also get from local Indian pharmacies. Just ask them charcoal. Show them the little pink tablets. They're going to know what you're looking for there. Or just hold your stomach. They're going to know. Trust me. So, but the way to avoid having a stomach problems is, all right, let's talk about, you definitely don't want to have something happen. Here's how to ensure that it won't happen. Most likely thing is water. Contaminated water, or even the water that an Indian person can drink, can be totally fine. You're not going to be able to, because the bugs here are different. The microbials are different over here, so you might get sick. So you just want, if you're only here for 2 weeks, just be really safe. Don't eat at buffets. Make sure you watch someone cook hot food in front of you and it looks hygienic, and then you eat it. Drink bottled water. don't drink ice. If you're having street food, which you will want to have, even if you're on this plan, you can have street food, but have a chole bhature, which is basically like a puffy flatbread that's really chewy with chickpeas in a spicy little sauce that they cook right in front of you. Or have pav bhaji, or pav bhaji, which is buttered chewy buns with beans that you dip it into. So good. And they're going to cook the beans right there. The bun's not going to have anything. With the chole bhature, they're going to cook the flatbread. You're going to watch them cook the chickpeas. So you're going to know it's solid. Those are two things you want to go. Now, if you're going to be very conservative, do not have a samosa. You're off samosa because you can't tell what's inside that thing. You don't know when it was cooked. If they're just frying the outside, you don't know about the inside. So samosa. Finally, let's cover how you can have a once-in-a-lifetime trip, because really that's possible in India. That's one thing that's great about it. It's so different from the USA that you're going to have a chance to have some experiences that can change your life and change your thinking and change your perspective. And when you go home and you're laying in your bed, just be like, noticing the good things about the USA or wherever you're from, and also probably missing some of the great things about India. So let's kind of recap. And if you have been watching this whole video, please like the video, help this video go out to more people, because you want other people to have good experiences too. It's going to help you have a good time if more tourists are coming over here and making things cheaper for you, hopefully. So and more attractions and more hotels that cater to smart tourists. So, and also I should mention again, ebook, if you want more, I got more information in the ebook. You can download it, and it's like 45 pages of what I've learned about India. I really thought through everything and tried to dump everything that I learned about it. So check that out on my email list. I'll be sharing emails with things that come up as I'm in India, and keep you abreast of the best information. So those are some things to consider. But let's end off with some really secret sauce. If you've been watching this video, the whole thing, you're going to get some good stuff here, because we want to enjoy the trip. We want the best possible experience. So let's cover. Some of this will be a recap, some of it it'll be new, but let's cover some of the top things to make sure you do on your trip to make it once in a lifetime. Definitely try street food. I did not do this for a couple of years because I was nervous about getting sick, and I really regret it. However, if you go to top street food destinations, now on my channel are street food tours. Watch some of those on the destination you're in, and you're going to see some spots that are very popular and very hygienic and have awesome Indian dishes that you can try, and definitely do dishes like pav bhaji, buttered buns with beans. Like, you can't go wrong with that. Chole bhature, like a puffy flatbread that's super chewy with spicy chickpeas. You can't go wrong with that. Vada pav is another one, which is like a bun with like a little roll of what is it? I don't even know. It's like like a little circular mashed dal ball that they mash in there, and they put a spicy chili on there and a bunch of spices. It's delicious. So those are just a few options that you want to try while you're here. Just go to a nice place. You can, or even just search Google best street food, this place, the top ones that are going to have thousands of reviews. People are always going there. Go to those spots. Try it. Be cautious, of course, but definitely try it. Number 2, take an Indian train. Take a sleeper bus. Those are going to be some great ways to get around, see the countryside, interact with some locals. It'll make your trip better. 3, don't buy super budget-friendly accommodation. Make sure you invest in good accommodation wherever you're at, in decent neighborhoods. You're going to be happy that you did. Try a first-class hotel. Stay in a palace. Go to like a cool Airbnb spot with a cool host in some spot. Pay a little more. Have a key experience. You're gonna be happy that you did. One thing that helps with that is learning the language, which can be super difficult because in each state the language is a little bit different. So if you learn Hindi, that's not going to help you out in the south because they speak Tamil. Or in Kerala they speak, I don't even know what it's called, but It's not the same language as in Tamil Nadu. So one way you can help with that is an app called Rocket Languages. App on your phone. You can learn some basics. They love it when you speak some of their language, even if it's as simple as saying hello or how are you or can I buy that? What's the price? Basic things like that. I learned some things in Tamil, and it really made my experience better. I tried to learn more, but Tamil was so hard, I failed miserably. And the people would look at me when I was speaking Tamil and just be like, I don't speak English. And so I just spoke English instead. And they're like, oh, okay, I got you. So anyways, pick up a few things. You'll be happy you did. Finally, Viator Tours. If you want to just guarantee you're going to get a solid experience with a good tour, check out Viator Tours wherever you're at. They're going to have some options. They're pretty much all over India. And for a little bit higher price, you're going to just guarantee, you flew all this way, that you're going to get the best of the Taj Mahal or the best of wherever you're staying. That being said, we're going to close out this how to travel or how to have a smart India trip. Thanks for watching, and tune in for more videos about beautiful India. Thank you.